Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Hots or Shots. I'm your host Johnny Clearwater, and with me today is Steamy and Gifted Gaia.
Hey,
Gifted, how we doing?
Guys? I'm good, man. I'm very happy to be here. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here too.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have a good time.
I think so too. We'll see how it goes. We have to do the coin flip first because this could be a lot of fun and sloppy, or a lot of hellish, nightmarish stuff. Do you want to let everybody know just a little bit about who you are?
Sure. Go by Gifted Guy on Steemit. I've been on the platform since July of 2016. I do writing and drone videos and music things, and I think probably a lot of people would recognize my name from a podcast that ran for a year called the Steemit Talk podcast. And that's, I think, how I met you, Johnny, back in the day. And
yeah, I think I caught you guys right at the end of when you were wrapping that up.
Yep.
I had met Psycho Chica first through Steemit chat, and she introduced me into come checking out, and that's when I first crossed paths with you. And then you started to come into SteamSpeak, the number one server on Discord. And that's when I was like, this guy's pretty laid back, pretty cool. I had no idea when I started to plan this trip that you were out here. And then Papa Pepper let me know, and I was like, oh, fucking great. Great opportunity to be able to meet you. So
yeah, there's a little pocket of like Missourians and Arkansas Steemians down here.
I'm gonna find everybody everywhere.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm going everywhere with the show. So.
Well, I was really involved with Steemit in general, and just posting every day and trying to like have a voice on the platform. And my life has gotten a little busy, and I've kind of backed off a little bit. So part of the reason I was excited to do this is I feel like it's kind of the catalyst to kind of get the ball rolling again and throw me right back into the fire, depending on the coin flip, I guess.
Yeah, true. It is a 50-50 shot of fate here. So back to the podcast. I hear there's a rumor that you might be doing another one on Friday.
Well, there's rumors all over the place, and I can neither confirm or nor deny these rumors. I mean, I could probably call my attorney if we had to and just get her on the line to see if there's any information she could give you. But, I'm not going to lie. I've heard those rumors myself, and what is today? Tuesday night? And you're talking about Friday, which is just a few days away. So I guess I'll just sit here on the edge of my stool and wait.
I signed an NDA, so I'm just going to sit here quietly.
That's true. And you're not getting your hush money back. That's all there is to it.
So, I know you've seen a couple episodes.
I have.
The way this works is you're going to flip that coin. One side of it is a shot glass, the other side is a hot pepper, and it's going to determine the way this is going to go. So,
alrighty.
Are you ready to give it a flip?
I think I'm ready. Let's go ahead and flip the coin and see what happens.
It's your flipping it. It's your fate.
Here we go. It's a lackluster flip.
Shots it is.
But I'll take the shots.
I'm down with that, man.
Okay. So it's shots.
Yeah. Fuck. We're going to get drunk.
I may have been there a few times.
I've been there a few times this week already.
Okay, so you're well prepared.
So we're going to go ahead and get everything set up, and we'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsor.
Just hit a button, Morty. To qualify.
What are you doing?
A C.
All right, and we're back. So we got the glasses all filled up here with some Old Forester. Smells good, man.
I agree with that. I can smell it from here.
So the way it works is we do the shot first, and then we get to the question.
Sounds
and
good.
We just keep on cruising.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I think we should go ahead and get started.
I think so too, man.
So, salute.
Cheers. What's a household chore you secretly enjoy?
Doing the dishes. I love doing the dishes. I hated doing the dishes when I was a kid. It was my most hated chore. I would do anything to get out of it. When I was forced to do it, I would do it half-ass. I would always get yelled at for loading it incorrectly. And there's something about rolling out of bed as a 39-year-old man, brewing a cup of coffee, and while I'm waiting for it to brew, to do the dishes.
Really?
It makes me feel like I've completed something before my eyes are even open. I don't know. I can't even say I secretly enjoy doing it because I really enjoy doing it boastfully.
I also hated doing dishes. I didn't have to get my way out of it though. As a kid, I had hand eczema, and I lived in upstate New York. And during the winter, like, we didn't know what it was at first, but during the winter, like, my knuckles would split open.
Sure.
Like, it was really bad. And we ended up going to a doctor and having it looked at and finding out what it was. And part of dealing with it was I was never allowed to do dishes because there were chemicals in detergents that would mess with
Irritate
it.
that.
So I got out of that. My secret chore that I like vacuuming.
Okay.
I get even steam cleaning rugs. I don't like mopping. I'm not into that kind of. But vacuuming and steam I don't know why. I like just cranking the music on and just.
There you go. Kind of zone out.
Yeah.
So, and by that regard, I'm curious, do you also like mowing the yard?
No.
Okay.
No, I live in Florida, and we have a plethora of Hispanics that do that. So
I see.
Yeah, I'm not into mowing the grass. That was another chore I hated as a kid.
I liked that one as a kid. I don't know.
No. The only thing I liked, like, chore-wise, as a kid, was any chore that I could do for other people for money.
I see.
You know what I mean? I'll cut the neighbor's grass, but cut my grass? Come on.
Why would you do that? Yeah.
That's ridiculous. And
Sure.
then, meanwhile, like I said, I grew up north, so shoveling snow was a big one, too. But shovel our driveway? What are you paying me for that?
Yeah.
I'm like, the neighbor gives me $10.
I grew up in Nebraska, and I've seen my share of shoveled driveways growing up.
I remember the first time we got a snowblower, and I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Welcome to the future.
Yeah, right? Okay, man, let's keep on going.
Cheers.
What inspires you to be better?
It's a pretty general question. This is another one that I pretty much have a definitive answer. We spoke before the cameras were rolling, and I talked a little bit about, and I spoke about this on Steemit Talk podcast ad nauseum, but I really enjoy communicating with a means called E prime, and it pretty much cuts out the is. Nothing is. We don't know if anything is. We just know what it is relative to how we perceive it at that time.
Okay.
So the question being, what drives me to be a better person or to do good, however it was worded.
Just what inspires you to be better?
So I said a long time ago, I went through a phase in my life where I lost some people pretty congruently, like in a row. And there's only so many times you can be standing there giving a eulogy for your friends in front of all of your friends before you really start thinking of the bigger picture of things and at least start ignoring the little things that don't matter. One of the things that became apparent to me that really started mattering to me after those moments was just, I want people to say nice things about me when I die. And that seems like a very kind of generalistic, trivial thing, but it's something that if, I think about it multiple times a day, every day. It's something that, like, you can just be driving in traffic and make a subtle change where something would have normally angered you. And I'm not always good at this. I don't always succeed, but just, let somebody in front of you in traffic, or, pay it forward, pay for the guy's meal behind you in the drive-thru or something. And, it's one of those things where one day somebody's going to be giving a eulogy in my regard, and I don't want there to be a bunch of animosity or, what ifs or whatever. I just want people to remember the nice things about me. And so
that's why you have a guest list, though.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true. You get the right people in.
Yeah. There's not going to be any animosity here because you weren't invited.
That's true. Those people can just stay home.
For me, I'm a married man with kids. So, my answer, and I've noticed with a lot of the questions that I do have, I can relate immediately. It's my family, My wife inspires me to be better. My kids inspire me to be better because I want better things for them. It's one of those, I have a self-drive as it is. Like, sure. I'm rarely ever satisfied. I'm always trying to take the next step, take it further, see where else I can go. Once I feel that I've accomplished something, I don't feel the need to just keep hitting home runs on it. I like to challenge myself and move on to the next thing,
There you go.
But in general, my family is my major inspiration to be better at anything. If I'm doing better, they're going to do better.
That's pretty honorable. That's a very pay-it-forward attitude as far as you just realizing that it's not about you.
Once you pop out some kids, you don't have to worry about paying it forward to everybody else.
There you go.
It's one of those. Plus, it's cyclic. If I do really well for them and, I figure once down the road I can take the selfish approach and be like, they owe me. But that's how that rolls.
They're just going to throw you in a home.
Shot number 3?
I'll drink to that.
Yeah.
Cheers.
So you're gonna say cheers 10 times?
Maybe.
Really?
I got a couple of toasts I might throw at you. We'll see how it goes.
At least you're not one of those guys that does the...
No, nor have I poured anything out yet, so...
What's the most out of character choice you've ever made?
The most out of character choice I've ever made.
For example, for me, I think it was marriage.
Okay.
I never considered myself not only someone who wanted to settle down like that. I knew I always wanted to have a family, but not necessarily a wife. You know? I always knew I wanted kids, but...
I'm trying really hard to keep my eyes on you and not look at your wife sitting behind you as you're
Yeah,
answering
no,
my
that's
questions.
fine. She's here for all of them. So, you know what I mean? I don't bite my lip too often. But yeah, I never even... I never really considered myself marriage material. I have what some would call a very selfish approach to things. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't consider it necessarily a selfish approach. I take that ideology of I know that if I'm doing better, those that are immediately affected in my life are going to do better because of it.
Sure.
So I am always considering them, but it's what I'm doing to get that, you know. So yeah, I think for me, like, it was very out of character for me in my life to make that moment where I decided, you know, marriage is actually what I want to do. I could end up spending my whole life with somebody not married, but it was that second that I said, "Wow, I'm ready to." That was pretty hugely out of character for me.
I see. Well, my answer is not going to compare to yours. Yours seems to be like a throw a big stone into a lake and watch the ripples affect everyone type of situation. I guess the best way I could answer that, again, you've kind of stumped me here, it would be that at one point I worked for a company who did a televised Christmas commercial. And they had me stand in the group and wish everybody a Merry Christmas and ho 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 and all the festive things that you say in the midst of a television commercial. That is incredibly out of character for me. I am not camera shy, but at the same time, I'm not very dogmatic when it comes to holidays or celebrations in most cases. I don't buy into most of any religion. I like little pieces of all of them. So for me to stand in front of a camera and be filmed and then have that same commercial like air over and over throughout the years, because I left that job and still the next couple of years it aired. So I still had people calling me saying, "Did I just see you on TV wishing me Merry Christmas? That doesn't seem like you." So that's really the best I could think of. It doesn't compare to helping.
I don't think that was. I don't think you were stumped at all. That's a very legitimate.
I thought of it as you were answering yours. I thought that's a great answer.
Yeah, like I said, I selected every question.
Sure.
And every question that I selected, I didn't put it in the pile if I couldn't have an answer. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I won't always throw an answer, but I have an answer for every question that I've written. It helps me. This shows just as much about me as it is you. So. That's the truth.
A little bit of honesty there.
Well, I want people. I think this is a really fun format for me to expose who I am on all kinds of levels to the community.
Sure. And
get support because of that, because of my transparency, And I use this format to then say, well, now I also get to do the same thing with somebody else.
There you go.
But I have tons of plans, a lot of things that I'm going to do on Steemit. So, again, that's that sort of selfish approach there. This shit's just as much about me as it is every single guest.
Sure. And I guess I could kind of understand that a little bit as far as the podcast went, as far as my participation with that. I mean, my favorite part about that, it wasn't the rewards that we received. It wasn't the attention we received. And there was a lot of weird occurrences where, we'd unmute somebody in the midst of a show and say, "Hey, what's your opinion on that?" And they'd freak out and be like, "Oh my God, we're on Steemit Talk Podcast. I'm so embarrassed." And I'm looking across the table at my co-host thinking, we're just sitting here drinking beer, having a conversation. It's not, but at the same time, it was, I think about us also. It was our expressing our experience as we phased into the platform and just kind of our day-to-day, what was going on and how we viewed it through, at least through our filter, through our eyes, the interest that we were interested in. I didn't talk about things I wasn't interested in on the podcast that I saw on Steemit, only the things that interested me that then procked conversation that was worth sharing,
Right.
And
absolutely.
highlight my own agenda if there was one. So.
Yeah. Well, we always have agendas.
Not in a negative way.
Yeah, no, not at all.
I'm just a planner. Okay. Plan on number 4.
Let's do that.
Huzzah.
What's the longest rabbit hole you've ever been down?
Oh my God. So it's synchronicitous that you would say that, because one of the things that we always talked about on the podcast is there's reoccurring words that people just have in their dialect. And I don't know if it's a communal thing or if it's just something that we've ingrained based on our communication with each other. one of the things that we caught ourselves saying all the time on the podcast was the word rabbit hole. And we would call each other out when somebody would say it. There'd be a look across the table, and it's like, why do we always say that every episode 17 times? So your question is, what's the longest rabbit hole I ever went down?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I want to answer that on camera. I can say that I'm a very open-minded person.
What's wrong with it being... We're talking about investigation. It's okay.
Sure.
What rabbit hole? Where you been?
I went down the rabbit hole of an open and free internet one day, and that started with a little bit of curiosity and ended about 20 years later with a completely different worldview.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Sure.
Yeah, I could see why you wouldn't want to go into too much detail.
I'm
about
dancing
that.
around the. I don't want to be labeled.
Yeah, no,
I don't
I
like
get it.
buzzwords.
I get it. No, that makes sense. Like I said, I know why you would want to dance around that just a little bit too.
Sure.
Because that's legit. It's an interesting place, the internet, when you really start going through it.
Well, and there's just, for everything you believe, there's evidence out there to make you believe something else. It's
That's
just,
the fucking truth.
It just depends on what evidence you are willing to believe.
There's also, it just depends on what evidence you want to believe also.
Mm-hmm.
Period. It's not, you can take either side of the fence and always find the answers that you are seeking.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just designed that way these days.
Sure. It's totally easy. And this
from
is
anything. All the way to politics now. It's like, it's a little crazy.
Sure. Well, you had promised no politics, no religion.
Correct.
And we can skirt the outside of that. I'm okay with that.
There might even be some questions that make you think, and your answer might end up having something to do with a religious base, like you just said something. In regards to doing the commercial, you're not a religion person. I had no idea what your answer was going to be though. But,
that's true.
Religion came into that a little bit.
That's true. I mean, well, in all fairness, this had been planned a month or so in advance. So, I mean, in all fairness, these could all be staged questions. You could be talking to friends and family and just throwing this at me as a curveball. So.
Wouldn't it be like as fun though?
We're halfway through?
No, well, technically after this we will be.
Okay. Cheers.
If you could erase one memory from your life, just so you could relive it again, what would it be?
Really, if I'm to be just blunt honest, the first thing that came to mind is I think it was 3rd or 4th grade, my family went on a vacation down to Florida, and we went to the Kennedy Space Center, which I wanted to be an astronaut at the time. We had this old, probably a 1980s version of like an Encyclopedia Britannica at my house, and it was before the internet or anything. And I read the space version of the encyclopedia, which was probably like 20 or 30 pages at the time. They were all keen on the space program. The space shuttle had just had a few flights. I mean, it was like early 80s. So I was really into that whole thing. And so to go to the Kennedy Space Center as a child, I mean, it was just like the epitome of child wonder for me.
That's in Florida, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I think so. Kennedy's in Florida, right? Is that right?
I know we have
There's
some
one
big,
in Florida, one in Texas.
We have some big one there.
Yeah. It's the big one out in Florida on the coast. Cape Canaveral is what it's called.
Okay, yeah,
That's
okay.
right.
See, now if you had said that, I would have known that I was in Florida.
So, I mean, I vaguely remember it. I remember seeing that iconic building. It's like the tallest one-story building in the world where they build all the rockets. I remember seeing that, and I remember going through some kind of mock launch in like some kind of mission control room where the room shook when the space shuttle took off, and it was all the commands playing through the audio as far as what they go through when they actually launch a spacecraft. And again, it seems silly that's what there's so many other things that I could say, but that's the first thing that came to mind. It was just a very happy childhood memory of just going to Cape Canaveral and seeing that as a child. I wanted to be an astronaut, and so that was a walk in the park for me that day. For
me, it's really weird because like I immediately think of two things, and they are not even closely related.
I had about 10 things hit, and I was like, okay, what was the first thing? And that was it.
Well, I know what the first thing was as far as my timeline in life went, but I literally had two hit right away. And the very first one I immediately thought of was when I very first found out I was having my first child.
There you go.
All right. I'm Irish, and I want to breed and have that, I want to build my own Irish Republican Army.
There you go.
So we did make it through the first half. Are you ready to move on to number 6?
I am ready to move on to number 6.
Let's do this.
Here we go.
Na zdrowie. What's the first song you ever heard that truly moved you?
This is embarrassing. Michael Jackson's Thriller. I loved that song. It scared the shit out of me, by the way. The music video.
Okay,
Zombies.
so that's what I was getting ready to just touch base on now. So, was it the song or was it the video?
So the song...
Because there is definitely a difference.
Most certainly there is a difference. It wasn't so much the song that scared me. It was once I saw the video and I saw him with his yellow cat eyes, the fake eyes that he had in the video.
Right.
And every time I heard the song after that, then I saw the video in my mind. And so it was... And again, we're talking... What was that release? 1985, 1986, 87, something like that.
To this day, not only was this the first song that really... One song moved me, but to this day is still my favorite song of all time, is Dogs by Pink Floyd. And listening to how incredible this story was told behind this incredible backdrop of beautifully orchestrated music really let me connect and realize, like, wow, what the possibilities were to stretch out. And it hit at home. Every bit of the lyrics hit at home. Even as a young kid, like, it was like, oh my God, this is this person he's talking about, this adult life. That's who I'm going to end up. And a lot of parts in it, it's exactly who I did become. And I know that song shaped a lot of that, you know. But that's it's tough because I do have two answers, but that's probably the real answer.
Hey, we talked for a while.
Shot number 7.
7. 7 and 7.
If you could wake up tomorrow having gained any one quality or ability, what would it be?
My quality that I wish that I could gain if I were to wake up tomorrow would be the quality to understand where people come from when they say what they say. I feel like one of my favorite philosophers, if not my favorite philosopher and author, is by the name of Robert Anton Wilson. I'd be very surprised if you get through Psycho Chica's interview here in the few days without her mentioning the exact same thing. Specifically, Robert Anton Wilson made several quotes that I live by, but one of them is, communication is only possible amongst equals. And that is to say that if you're speaking to somebody that has either less of an education than you, or has a completely different belief system than you, or grew up on the other side of the planet and cannot meet in the middle on any issue whatsoever, it's not possible to communicate with that person. You could, like, talk to them, you could have some general understanding, but you're not going to click on the same level because they do not know where you're coming from.
Because I was just about to say, well, wait a second, but you're right when you said you can talk to them.
Yeah.
Or you can be spoken to.
But you don't understand.
Can't communicate.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
So
I'm glad you like took that extra step and said that.
So you find those people in your life that have lived, similar experiences or have taken similar imprints even off of different experiences, but they know what you know. You can look them in the eye and you're like, okay, that guy gets it. So I wish that I had that with everyone. I feel like there's a lot of times people pitch things at me and I don't understand where they're coming from. I'm not a rude person. I don't have an agenda. Well, I'm saying, like, if somebody fronts you with something and that's not you don't understand it. So it's confusing, and I wish that I had a better context to understand people that I'm miscommunicating with. We're arguing about something, or we just don't see eye to eye. And I'm not saying that, like, the world needs to be, they need to like what I like and believe what I believe. I hope not. There's way better people out there. But it would be nice to be able to have a simple conversation with somebody that has a complete opposite belief system in whatever area. We can say, let's just say politics, because that's the easy one that everybody disagrees on. It'd be nice to talk to somebody that had an opposite belief system.
Everybody doesn't disagree on politics.
Well,
I just disagree with liberals.
Fair enough.
No, I dig it. I like your answer a lot. I got to look. So I already said if they were separated, ability is flying.
If you were just like take off and go for a flight somewhere.
Quality is different. Quality's tougher for me because it says if I could, and that means this would be by my choice. Mm-hmm. What would it be? And the problem is I wouldn't choose a quality. Mm-hmm. I am gotten to that point in my life where I know my flaws. And I like who I am. I've accepted my flaws, and I'm transparent about them. So it's one of those, like, if you decide to, while I'm being transparent about them, to judge me, you can straight go fuck yourself. Now, I could tell you what the quality should be that I should gain, and that would be to really honestly care at all about people's emotions, which is really weird because I'm actually decent at being empathetic to people, you know, and I don't think it's that maybe empathetic isn't the right word to describe how I feel about it. I feel like I can understand your situation and feel bad for you, but at the same time, I only feel bad because I understand the situation. Where in the long run, it's like your feelings totally do not fucking matter to me. So,
It depends on the person.
It's like a mixture of empathy and sociopath at the same time. Well, and I don't know what the definition of that is. I know that I probably could benefit from being more understanding. I don't want to say empathetic because I feel I am empathetic. But to actually be more understanding of people's emotions. However, I would probably fucking hate myself if I was that person.
So,
because it's not who I am. And I'm not going to be that way.
And that's fair, because you know who you are.
But flight...
Well, most people don't know who they are. So, benefit to you for knowing who you are.
It wasn't easy.
No, it usually comes with perspective, which is earned.
100% cheers to that. What's the most important lesson you can teach a child?
Well, I'm going to shoot from the hip here because I have no children, nor have I raised any, but my guess is...
You know what, though? That's actually why it's just as good of an answer.
That's fair enough.
You know? Like, I'm not going to answer this one.
I would say to listen. Know how to listen. Don't just wait to speak. Fucking hear somebody. Try to find some common ground and then listen to
I just wanted to make sure I just read this right. What's the most... It doesn't say what's the most important lesson you can beat into a child. They don't listen, dude.
Yeah.
All right, buddy, ready?
Yeah. What are we on now? This is 9?
Yeah, I mean...
We're almost there.
Look, I know we've been through some, but I know you can still count.
I can.
There's 10, and if there's only one left after this...
So far, so good.
Yeah. Interesting. If your personality were an alcoholic beverage, what would it be?
Whiskey.
Really?
Yeah.
But you'd need to be at least semi-elaborate. I mean, we might be running out of battery because this show is so fucking good that we kill fucking cameras around here. But it's it. You can't, like, come on.
So whiskey. Whiskey sneaks up on you. It's one of those things you can drink 1 shot or 10 shots, and you never really know how it's going to hit you. I can have 2 shots of whiskey and be completely, like, happy buzz drunk. I can coast through an entire Hotter Shots show and have 10 shots and still be coherent and drunk.
I don't think you're slurring words, nothing.
I'm trying. I
think you're doing a great job.
I'm a little buzzed. I'm sure my words are going to come out a little slurred. There might be some word misplacement. I have a little bit of dyslexia. It does pop out when I'm drinking. Yeah, I mean, it makes you feel warm inside. I mean, there's just something about...
I feel toasty.
Yeah, it's you know...
It's nice.
I've been through the drinking phase. I've drank vodka. I've drank rum. I've drank tequila. I've been through the gambit as far as those liquors go. But whiskey is my whiskey. I mean, that's the way I go.
So for me, and yet the reason is the same. Mm-hmm. For me, it's Grand Marnier.
Really?
Yeah, because it doesn't necessarily always give you the best taste from the beginning.
That's true.
But it fucking always works and always finishes the job.
That's true.
And it totally sneaks in and punches you right in the dick when you weren't expecting it.
I really wonder how much of it is like a genetic disposition, as far as I am predominantly Irish, and so I love whiskey. And
I once spoke in an episode, and I think I said I was predominantly Irish like 15 times. Mm-hmm. I think he had to cut like 14 of them out.
As he nods off.
Like 35.
I'm just saying, look, Grand Marnier doesn't necessarily taste like something that's going to get you as wrecked as it does.
Sure.
But once you've started to warm up to it, you're in a lot of fucking trouble.
Yeah.
And I think that makes a lot of sense to my personality.
Fair
once
enough.
you started to warm up, it's all downhill there from there. So, we have one left.
We're at the end.
We're at, this is
We
shot
made it.
number 10.
I'm gonna reach over and cheers.
I'm going to do the same.
Yeah.
Gifted Gaia. Ladies
Yes.
and gentlemen, Gifted Gaia.
Johnny Killer Water.
Johnny Killer Water.
Killer Water.
Clear
Johnny
Water.
Clear Water. Coming to my home state.
Gifted Gaia.
Yeah, I've
My
heard that
guest
before.
today.
I've heard that before. I'm like,
Yeah, gonna hear it
no,
now because
that's
I'm
not
Johnny
right.
Killer Water.
That's right. It could be worse.
So
Here's to it being worse.
Here's to it being better.
Yes.
Killer Water. It's all right, Gifted Gaia.
I told you.
What's your most embarrassing moment?
Slurring my words on hotter shots.
You haven't been.
It's the
I know you think you might have been.
lowest point in my life. I hope you can forgive me.
I think the highest and lowest point of anybody's life should be my show.
Well, if you have a model, you might as well stick with it.
Trying.
Yes.
Come on. Most embarrassing moment.
Man, I don't know. Most embarrassing moment.
Yeah, you're not sliding with that one.
It's a good question. You first.
Okay. So, yeah, I have one. I spent a lot of years in my teens in the restaurant industry. Started in the kitchen, and I eventually ended up working for a Greek in the restaurant industry. And for anyone that works in the restaurant industries, you already know that's inevitable. You're going to work for a Greek.
I think I did.
My name was Nicholas.
Yeah.
Which, for those who don't know, every Greek person names all 8 of their sons Nicholas. So I started working for this Greek, and he just loved me because my name was Nicholas. He was like, "You should not be Irish. You should be Greek." I have no idea if that's a Greek accent, but it works for me. And he was like, only my son Yelchin should be working in the kitchen. You are beautiful, Nicholas. You should be on the floor. Again, no idea if that's what he sounded like, but it works for me.
Man with a plan.
So he was the first guy to take me out of the back of the house and put me in the front of the house. I already lost most embarrassing moment. Yeah. So I immediately became a front of the house person. Bartending, serving, everything. I mean, I was taught old school, old fashions. Who drinks old fashions anymore? I know how to make them. You know, I was taught old school. So I became this server who I never was ever once before. And we're at a 5-star restaurant. No joke. I mean, this is fucking super fine dining. Your average plate per person, your check is over $70. And that's before alcohol. So I'm waiting on this table of these, cocksuckers. And this woman's wearing this fucking furry thing. I know it was expensive. I don't know if it was a snow leopard or whatever was slayed to make this. I mean, but it was.
Elaborate.
Yeah.
Cruella de Vil.
And this one, yes, 100% Cruella de Vil. All right. Although I'm sure that she was buying cheap, if you all know the Cruella de Vil story.
Sure.
But this was the real deal. And the table orders this, that, this bottle of wine. You have to do that whole presentation. It's not just like bringing a glass of wine to the table. It's like, hey, sniff the cork, fucking do this, do all these things that don't make any sense to people that aren't wine connoisseurs. It makes sense to me now. But it didn't then, nor did I fucking care. But I had to do all that. And then I had to prepare all of these glasses of wine for the whole table and then hand them out. And I was nervous. And I 100% dumped 7 glasses of red wine all over this woman wearing this snow leopard minx fucking thing.
You win.
I don't know. And I know that... But hold on.
That's a bad one. I feel for you. I've never spilled anything on anyone.
I was embarrassed.
I believe you.
Immediately.
Yeah.
But mainly because the guy that was with her, who I'm guessing from this point paid for that, who spoke no fucking English, cursed me out in a language that made no sense to me in front of an entire dining room of rich people. All right. Yelling at me. I just assume it was Russian or German because it was so angry.
How dare you be human and make a mistake?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and screaming. And I just decided at that point, I figured I was losing my job. You know, fair enough assumption here at this
Pretty
point.
big fuck up.
I just decided that's it. Who gives a fuck? There were 3 glasses left on my tray, and I just grabbed them. I shot him right in his face, and I walked off to the kitchen.
Whoa, boy.
I didn't get fired. I got promoted. Interesting story, but it still was my most embarrassing moment.
I don't really understand that, but
Well,
I'll accept
apparently, the boss, you know, the hostess. There's not like a we consider a hostess today. We're talking about professional hosts and
Sure.
hostesses. 5-star restaurant had the whole thing. It was all on camera too, and went and explained everything. And apparently, the situation came down to this: the restaurant was already going to have to pay for the code, right? So the fact that this guy turned into this asshole who spoke this language I didn't know, which apparently these other people did know, belittled me, and for me to have done what I've done showed a real proof of manship kind of thing.
sure.
So yeah, I got promoted. I became full-time bartender in the restaurant, so that I would never have to spill a drink on a guest ever again. But I still made more money than I did as a server because all the servers had to tip me out. So it panned out for the best, but it was super embarrassing. I'm standing in this dining room, first time serving, not my first day, but my first time as a server, when I shouldn't never planned to have been a server.
Sure.
Getting screamed at because I totally deserved it, and I just was like, "Fuck you." I just
That's
went
rough. So, okay, parallel to what you said.
You have a parallel to my story.
Well, I'm 10 shots in, and this is
cool.
like,
Try
as
to-
far
try
as
to-
like trying to put
trying to
myself
show
in.
up the host. It's cool.
No, I'm
dude.
trying to put myself in your
Just
shoes.
think, we're gonna be on a show again on Friday. I'm gonna I got your back. Good.
If I were to put myself in your shoes and feel like how you felt that day as you spilled the drinks all over the rich chick, I don't have a comparative example. The best example I can give you is when I was I don't know, sophomore, junior year of high school, and I had to do this play, and I was a singer at the time. I love singing. So it was like a full-blown musical on stage, and it was a high school musical, so everybody had their costumes, and you know, the play was called Once Upon a Mattress. It was set in like, for about lack of a better word, like the 1700s. So for the most part, every single male costume had tights and then some kind of like little pantaloon thing that went over the tights. So you basically are wearing a diaper on stage under the tights, or over the tights, excuse me. And then, you're on stage just singing there in a diaper. Well, for whatever fucking reason.
Piss yourself?
Well, no. It wasn't that bad. Thank God it wasn't that bad. No, it wasn't that bad. But it was, I wasn't the main, like, lead in the play, but I was probably, like, the alternate lead male part in the play. And my costume, for whatever reason, was just tights, no pantaloon. On top of the fact that it had, like, silver buttons up the front.
I wouldn't have been embarrassed about that.
Well, you talk about standing on stage in a high school auditorium and having lights bounce off the silver button on your crotch, and no pantaloons whatsoever. So I had more than one person come up to me, and this sounds like an egotistical prick, and I apologize, but it was like, "Hey, you're wearing socks in your pants?" And I'm like, "No, that's just what's in my tights."
This is that. I wouldn't have been embarrassed
Well,
about that at all.
as a 16-year-old dude, that was kind of a weird conversation to have with a bunch of old people as I'm walking out of the theater saying, "Hey, you like to play? Great."
Well,
No,
people
I'm not.
like big dick too, dude.
Well, that's what it was, man. I'm sorry. I'm
Just
10
ask
shots
Grandma.
in. I'm telling you. That's what it was.
Grandma, tell us.
So,
I still like old big dick.
I can't think of a better way to end the
All right.
show.
Look, because you brought that up, I gotta throw this out there.
You
man.
asked!
No, I did, but I didn't think about this moment. All right.
Sure.
So I did a lot of plays in high school too.
Okay.
middle school, high school, and I landed the second leading role in a play called Something's Afoot when I was a kid.
And you stood on stage throwing hog like this.
No, I was the butler.
Okay.
It was a murder mystery play.
Okay.
All right, and one of the scenes was the butler was trying to convince the maid to run away with him so that we didn't get offed. Okay.
Okay.
Now I wasn't embarrassed technically when I did this, but I could see how it could be. My theme song, my big production part of this whole thing, before I died, was me trying to convince the maid to run away with me before we got killed.
Sure.
And I had to sing this song that's I've got a teeny little dinghy. Because it was about me and the maid getting in a little boat and fleeing the scene before we got killed. So here I am, and I mean, I didn't think about it then. For some reason, it just didn't connect.
No.
But that was
your teeny
fucking,
little dinghy.
for any adult that was watching this show, that was definitely embarrassing.
Yeah.
Here I am singing that I've got a teeny little dinghy to the maid.
I'm sorry. You asked.
Something's afoot.
Yeah.
And I've got a teeny little dinghy.
Yeah. I just had
I
a
have 4
giant.
kids. If I had a teeny little dinghy, I might not even have any.
I had a giant silver button. There was like 3 of them, and they went right up the front of my ties. And I don't know why, but I just picture myself as like a 15-year-old boy standing in the stage, like the lights reflecting off the buttons.
I would have been alright with that.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, man.
All right,
you asked.
so-
I'm just saying.
Gaia.
Johnny Clearwater.
Gifted Gaia.
I guess.
Well, you at least said my name right this time, so I had to come back and refer.
Well, it's 10 shots of whiskey. I mean,
Well,
you're drinking
so
beer
it took 10
beforehand.
shots to remember it wasn't Johnny Killer Water.
No.
But okay.
Yes.
So, we made it through all shots. We made
We
it through all the
did.
questions.
Here we are.
It's been a real pleasure having you.
Hey, I appreciate it. man.
I mean this when I say this. You are officially, at this point, my most favorite guest.
Hey, thanks for that, man.
And I mean that. And I mean, there are witnesses here. I really mean that.
She
I had to
called
do
him
this.
out by name.
This last episode I did, I had to do with this douchebag instructor. No, but seriously, I do mean it when I say this. You really have become my most favorite guest. You can tell that you have podcast experience. You were really good with working with the answers and the questions. And you handled the booze. And even though you might have thought you were slurring your speech,
A little bit.
we were both a little bit. So it's not really that noticeable.
Yeah.
I mean this when I say it. Once again, you to this moment have become my most favorite guest.
Well, thank
to
you
date.
very much. I appreciate that. I really like what you're doing here, man. We talked about this prior to the fact. You were like, hey, the Hot Shots show, and I was like, fuck yeah, dude. I love that show. So, and you've got a spin on it with the alcohol here. I see what you're doing. I see how the coin flip is treacherous. It just depends on how it lands.
I'm so glad
No.
you flipped shots.
I promise you that come later this week, you're going to interview Psycho Chica. You're going to interview
Tomorrow.
You're going to interview Papa Pepper.
Friday.
I'll fall
Thursday.
down. I'll fall down on that list, but that's okay. I appreciate.
No, that's
like,
not necessarily true.
at
Hold on,
this
it's not
moment, I'm
necessarily
happy.
true. But I will be fair and say that you're right. I mean, there's still more people to go.
Sure.
Right now, you are episode 11 as far as recording goes.
How many do you have posted? Like 3?
3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have to stay ahead.
You're a little behind. In all fairness,
I have to stay ahead. Because I have a partner now
that's true.
that works on the show.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's... Meanwhile, though, it's not a podcast. I don't mean that negatively, where I just have to deal with audio.
Yeah. No, I understand.
You know, there's a lot of setup. There's a lot of things going on
Sure.
here. I mean, you got to watch it, especially now that I have an editor as a partner.
Sure.
I mean, it was like, hey, we had to slow pour shots, everything, like, you know. But if there's a show here. This is my fucking business now.
No, I like it.
Well,
and to your credit, you picked like $1 million
So,
house to do your
9,
setup
10, 11. So yeah, you are episode 11. You're the 11th episode I've done, and out of 11 episodes, I mean it when I say it, that you to this point, really close with Nate. Really close with Nate. Had such a great sense of just humor and personality that just came right out of him.
That guy's awesome.
But he didn't even have to get drunk. You know,
Oh,
he
sure.
just had to eat hot shit. But dude, he fucking cried.
No, yeah.
I slowed it down. I zoomed in. I played piano while he cried. Like tears. It's funny. You've seen 2 of 3 episodes. You didn't see his.
Yeah.
That one moment alone is worth watching. I called my
looking
wife
forward
in when
to
I
it,
edited
man.
that. I was like, "Come watch what I did."
Yeah.
And we were just. All right. So these cameras are all about to die. Is your old lady on Steemit also?
She is.
She is. So everybody that's in the room right now is on Steemit. So what I'd like to do is, since not counting my producer and my partner, Liberty Minded, everybody else had to just literally sit through this.
That's true.
How do you feel if we all come in and do a shot together?
I'm very happy.
You're good
with
for
that.
another one?
No, I'm very happy.
Let's do that. This
right.
is it. This is the big. We haven't done
Here we
this
go.
trick. We've all done
Hey.
some shots before. But here we
Here's
go.
to hotter
Everybody
shots.
in here.
Hotter shots. Salute.
Oh yeah, we're good. So that's it. Hey, guys, everybody, thank you so much for watching. You know, I'm gonna keep on making these new episodes every Thursday. Give the guy you really, really have been my favorite guest so far. I had a lot of fun with you. We're on a level. There's a level here that made this show work. You know, like sometimes I feel like I have to underwork it or overwork it, and it was just like, no, I got to cruise with you. So far so good, man.
I appreciate that, man. Thanks for the opportunity to share with you and everybody support this show. I'm a little drunk. 10 shots of whiskey.
The fact that he's telling you to support the show has nothing to do with he's drunk. That's just because this shit is awesome.
That's right.
He might have slurred while saying that, and that would be because he was drunk.
I would have said that.
Support this show.
That's right. I would have said that before 10 shots of whiskey.
I mean, I'm not even sure if that one's working anymore. It might be, because you kept looking over there just in case. I'm pointing to this one now. So thanks to everybody. Thanks so much for coming out. And see you again next Thursday. Bye.
The jam, pump it up while your feet are stumping. And the jam is pumping. Look at the body. Pump it up a little more. Get the party going on the dance floor. Because that's where the party's at. And you find out.